A muscular man slowly brings his hand up to his chest, as if trying to grab something. His face contorts in pain. Is that a heart attack? This is how the world's strongest man eats. He devours fried foods like these giant chicken wings. And I think this meal was extra saucy. He guzzles down a sugary soda before finishing off this plate of bacon cheeseburgers. This guy really knows how to dig in. And when he's done eating, he looks for more snacks. He grabs some potato chips from a bowl, then he washes it all down with a chocolate milkshake. If only there was a fire extinguisher for this guy's heart, it would definitely come in handy. This heart is about to explode, but what did it take to get here? Well, we can start with the typical American diet. The standard American diet consists of refined grains, which are found in bread, pasta, cereal, and biscuits. It also includes sugars in the form of desserts, sodas, candy, fruit juices, and added sugar. Finally, there's the protein, red meat, poultry, eggs, cheese, and nuts. So let's see how this diet destroys your heart. We all follow the food as it enters the body and animate the damage it causes along the way. It begins as a 3D printed heart made of gummy candy. This is what his heart is made of. As it goes down his throat, we see what happens on the inside. First stop, the stomach. Here the food is met with a pool of digestive acids so strong, they literally melt away the outer coating of the food, leaving just a pile of goo. We get a close-up of the melting burger cheese. Even the metal fork is no match for this powerful gut. As the metal cools, it condenses into liquid form and drips onto the floor. But the stomach acids quickly dissolve it too. The melted cheeseburger goo makes its way through the intestines, where 90% of the world's serotonin is produced. But this means nothing if the walls of the intestines are coated with tumors. And that's exactly what's happening. The tumor is about to spread its roots deep into the liver, destroying everything in its path. The liver will now begin producing even more visceral fat. The body has a very important job to do, getting rid of this mass of fat. However, the heart tries to compensate by pumping harder. This causes the blood pressure to spike, shown here by the bulging artery. But this doesn't last long, as the plaque ruptures and an even bigger blockage occurs. A blood clot forms and attaches itself to the ruptured plaque. And because the body cannot get rid of all the visceral fat, the clot grows larger and larger. It becomes so big, in fact, that it creates its own gravitational pull, attracting even more fat. Now it's time to bring back our cheeseburger. We'll show this in a side view, giving us a look at the body from the side. The cheeseburger is covered with hundreds of tiny parasites, each one designed to absorb as much fat as possible. They wiggle their tails, propelling themselves forward like little boats on the river. They jump out and make their way across the body, finding their way into the heart. These little worm-like parasites have been here many times before, and they know the quickest way inside. They squirm their way through the thin heart muscle. Inside, they find a nice, cozy spot near the pacemaker and settle in for a long winter's nap. But it's not a peaceful sleep. Their bodies shake and spasm, thrash around, making the heart beat faster. And as they grow in size, the heart struggles to keep up. At this point, there's only one thing that can save him. But what could that possibly be? Before we find out, let's cut back to the man. He takes a walk outside. It's going well until he comes to a sudden stop. The blockage has completely cut off blood flow to the heart muscle. The heart beats erratically as it tries to keep pumping. The body temperature drops, and the skin turns pale. The man collapses onto the pavement as his heart stops beating. Fade to black. Now we're inside the heart. The worms have grown so large, their bodies are ripping apart the pacemaker. Without the pacemaker, the heart can't pump blood, so it stops beating. We'll fast forward 6 months. The man's body has been buried underground. Tree roots snake their way toward the grave. One root finds its way inside the coffin and begins to lift the lid. We all pan away to show the whole grave popping out of the ground like a jack in the box. A swarm of bugs crawl out, attracted by the rotting flesh. They fly over to a nearby apple tree and lay their eggs inside the apples. These genetically modified apples were created by a company that sells them online. You may have eaten one before. In fact, the FDA recently approved them as a safe food source. But they have a secret. Inside the core, there's a small glass vial containing a solution that prevents normal growth. In other words, if you eat enough of these fake apples, you can never grow up. A young girl bites into an apple and immediately feels stronger than ever. She can now play basketball with the older kids. I think she's starting to understand how her new powers work. If you thought that was crazy, check out this insane scene where a man accidentally swallows a human finger. And here's another video where a woman tries to cut open a giant egg. But first, leave a comment telling me which food you think is medicine and which one you think is poison. I'll be reading some of my favorites.